Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right. Friends, we've got an intimate crowd tonight. So we're going to be doing things a little bit differently if you've seen some of these events before, but it's going to be just as fun, just as educational, just as informative. So thank you all for being here tonight in Gibsonville. Did everybody get some food? Did everyone get filled up? Okay. No one is hankering for food that didn't get some, all right? Right? Okay. I heard a woohoo in the background, so that is going to be good enough for me. So welcome everybody. We might not need this, but we'll keep it here in a second. My name is Gino Nuzalillo. I work at Common Cause. And as many of you know, or maybe you're learning and listening and seeing for the first time, this is number 6 in a series of 20 plus town halls that we are holding all across North Carolina. Welcome, sir. Bob Phillips will help you. Bob Phillips is the smiling guy we put in the front for everybody. So this is stop number 6 in a series of 20 plus town halls that we're holding all across the state. We started in Mint Hill, North Carolina, right outside of Charlotte on July 20th. After that, we went to Carthage. We were in High Point last week, which got fun and rowdy, as I'm learning, even rowdier than I thought. We were in High Point last week. Feel free to sign in, my friend, when you come in. And then after that, Fayetteville, and then Wentworth and Rockingham County. We were supposed to be in Kannapolis last night, but as many of you probably experienced, we had a little tornado, so we had to cancel. But we are here with you tonight, and we're really excited to hear from you. Our purpose and our goal here is very simple. We want to not only talk to you about what's happening at the General Assembly this year, and how it's going to impact all of our lives, but we also want to hear from you. And we want to hear what you think about these issues, not only for your state lawmakers, but also for people all across North Carolina. And it's going to be a fun event, and we're going to learn a lot about each other. Sound good, everybody? And if you're just coming in, feel free, so we've got empanadas. If you are hungry, please feel free to take some. Same to you. So we are going to get started right away here. And because we have a smaller group, we're going to start a little bit differently. Want to kind of get a sense of who is in the room and maybe ask people to introduce themselves. Which, we're here to talk tonight. So we're going to start here in the front, and we're just going to have people introduce themselves, maybe share briefly why you decided to come to the event tonight. So, and then we'll get further into the portion of the event.
Hi everyone, my name is Amber Rivera, and I actually live in Greensboro, so I'm a Guilford County resident, and I am the Triad Regional Coordinator for Advanced Carolina, which is why I'm here tonight, because we're a partner with Common Cause. And so I work for the C for North Carolina Black Alliance, and we push forward voter engagement in Black community, supporting Black electeds, and supporting people to run for office that are African American descent. So thank you all, and I'm sure I'll talk more later on.
Cool. And it just so happens that all the organizations who are here with us tonight sat in the front, so you'll see that from here. But feel free, we'll keep going. Yeah, we'll keep going down the line.
Hi, my name is Tanya Martin. I am with Red, Wine, and Blue. I'm the regional organizer in Guilford County, Alamance, Pitt, Vance, and Pasquotank. And so we are a C3, C4, sometimes a PAC when we need to be. And we educate suburban women about local, state, and federal government. And a lot of times women love to talk, but they don't talk about things that they don't know a lot about. And so our goal is to make sure that they understand politics so that they're talking more, getting more people engaged to vote. We have over 500,000 women in our organization, and we are in 5 states, which is North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Thanks for coming.
There you go.
Hi everyone, my name is Cameron. I am the Democracy Fellow at Friends of the Earth, and I am a partner with this Unite NC tour. I am here on behalf of the People Over Politicians NC Coalition. We are working to end gerrymandering in the state of North Carolina, and we are advocating to implement an independent redistricting commission.
Yes.
When y'all leave, we got a paper in the front left-hand corner, and I'll be sure to pass them out to you as well. If you go to our website, People Over Politicians,
So listen in and see what's going on, and to see what we're going to do about our election coming up next year. So if I can help anyone in a way, throw a brick. How you doing?
And also please don't feel like y'all, if you're just sharing how you heard about the event tonight, that is totally fine too. We just want to introduce everyone in the room. But
hey, I'm Angela Kalo, also not affiliated. My brother-in-law actually works for Common Cause, and so I was familiar with their work even before that, but got super familiar when he and my sister got married. Always have believed in very open elections and very specific voting rights. So excited to be here, except I actually have to leave because this and the Chicks concert were rescheduled for the same night. So I'm going to the Chicks concert, but I'm involved, so.
believe it or not, when you put the Chicks up against the state legislature, one is clearly more popular.
I'm less annoyed with the Chicks, so there's the benefit. So, but I will be involved, so thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Ellen Weiner. I live in Greensboro, and I'm a member, resident of Guilford County, and the gerrymandering and the redistricting is just really just crucial to our future and our democracy, so that's really why I'm here.
I'm Jane Harris. I live in Greensboro, and I'm here as a private citizen, and I care about too many things to tell you in 60 seconds, so I'll just refrain because I'm unhappy about almost everything.
I agree. I'm with you. I feel 100%.
And folks, you'll also get a chance to share kind of more traditional testimony that we are capturing through the live stream. So feel free to save some of those bricks for later in the evening. But you want to go next?
Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Faith Cook. I am actually the county lead for Advance Carolina, and I live in Whitsett. I just moved to Whitsett, which is Guilford County, last year. I've been here for like a year, but I came over from Alamance, so I'm the county lead for Alamance County for Advance Carolina. Outside of that, before moving into that role, I did a lot. I still do a lot of the work in Graham. Pray for me. Working in Graham, North Carolina, work in the ground with helping to try to end the social injustice that we see. One of the Graham 12 that was pepper sprayed in 2020, and I still get up and use my voice, and I teach my children to do the same, which is why they are here with me today, because they have to learn. Because in order for us to break the cycles, we have to make sure that our young people see and educate them on what needs to be done, because they are our future leaders. So I'm here tonight to just, all of this is messed up, and we need to push things back in the right direction, and the only way to make that happen is to use our voice and let people know that their vote is necessary and their vote matters. So I'm here to learn whatever I need to learn and to push the agenda. Keep it moving.
And if they want it, they don't have to.
Want to speak? No.
You just introduce yourself and why you came here tonight, real brief, and then we're a little bit more of an intimate crowd tonight, so we're giving everybody a chance to introduce themselves.
Okay. Good evening, my name is Tessa. I'm a teacher here in Guilford County and actually teach in High Point, and I live not in this district, but I'm here with Mary Beth, and she'll introduce herself in a moment. Obviously education is near and dear to my heart, and so that's what brings me to this space.
Hey everybody, I am Mary Beth Murphy. I'm the Guilford County Commissioner that represents this district, District 4. In addition to being a Guilford County Commissioner, I'm also a civics teacher at Grimsley High School, and so really education is what brought me to public service and the role of an elected official. And as a civics educator, I'm in this space tonight because I spend my life every day in and out of the classroom teaching my students about the importance of protecting our democracy by participating in it, by using their voices as their vote, and to be engaged citizens. And the current attacks on our democracy are incredibly troubling and disturbing, and I think it's going to take all of us standing together, united in a singular voice, demanding that we protect our democracy in order to ensure that that happens. And so I'm here to learn about how we can do that together, and the steps that we can take in order to push back on the legislation coming out of the General Assembly.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. And the reason I put these folks up is because, as opposed, to some of your local elected officials who came here tonight. We invited the people who represent this area in Guilford County with multiple invitations to come, and it was until quite the last second that we received something from Representative Hardister, who said he couldn't be here tonight, maybe that he is campaigning in other parts of the state, and nothing, of course, from Senator Phil Berger. So we want to point that out, that we are here tonight to make our voices heard about these issues, and despite repeated invitations to be here to listen to y'all, they didn't come, but we're going to be speaking anyway. We already are, right?
Yeah.
So we'll go to you next.
Hi everyone, my name's Ellen Bonus. I live in Burlington. I'm here with Ernie because Ernie knows Bob from way far deep ago. He can tell you about that. But one of the things that's really near and dear to me is gerrymandering. I feel like when you look at a map, you should just see blobs, not these weird squiggly things like they go every which way. It don't make any sense to me. And education. And I was thinking while you were speaking, I wish that in the elementary schools that everybody took manners classes. I think it would help a lot with a lot of problems that we have, because a lot of kids aren't here learning it at home. Maybe a little bit would help them in school.
Hi all, my name is Ernie Hood, and as Ellen told you, I go back 40 years with this young man right here. We used to work together in television news way long time ago, and we live in Burlington now after many years of living in Orange County and Durham County, and I've long been a close follower of politics, and I'm just very concerned about where we're headed, and trying to maybe, now that I'm not retired, but maybe getting to that point, thinking about getting involved and trying to prevent a fascist dictatorship.
Oh, there you go, period.
That's it.
Thanks for calling me young. I like that.
Okay. I'm Thelma Flowers. I currently live in High Point. I'm here because of my niece, Frances Suzanne. However, I am here because I have long been a participant in the struggle. And it's amazing to me that we're coming back around in 2023 and we're still having some of the same issues. I am a assistant pastor at Congregational United Church of Christ in Greensboro. I am the witness, justice and witness and minister of transformation. I am a retired mental health professional, and I went to one of the most liberal theological schools in the country, Ida School of Theology. Dr. Vincent Harding was one of my mentors. I am in close contact with, if any of you know, Dr. Miguel de la Torre. And so I'm here to learn and to listen and to also be a witness.
My name is Cherise Franklin. I came with Ms. Mary. I wanted to learn more about what this voting process was going to be like for this year, so I'm just here to get some information. And I know you.
Hi, my name is Mary Suzanne, and now all of you know my middle name thanks to my aunt. So.
I missed it.
But I am here just because, one, I'm always willing to learn more about what's going on in the state of North Carolina, and I am actively, like my friend here, I'm just upset about a lot of things that are going on. I just can't pinpoint one because there's just so many. So I'm here to advocate for several different things, and you'll hear one later on this afternoon, but or this evening. But the biggest thing is I want us to use our voting power to make change. And we can do that if we work together. And so by having so many different organizations here that are moving in that direction, we should have a phenomenal turnout. And that's what I'm working for. So we can have that phenomenal turnout and change the things that are going on in North Carolina today. Thank you.
I wish I was doing what you were doing right now, but we'll go to you.
My name's Amy Harrison. I'm a special education teacher here in Guilford County, and I'm also very active in the Public School Workers Union, the North Carolina Association of Educators. I serve as one of the co-leads for the government relations team, so I'm here to advocate for my public schools, my colleagues, and students.
Also, that's really, I just learned how to, someone was teaching me how to crochet the other day, and I'm like very impressed. Go ahead, next thing.
My name is Paula Harrison. I'm a retired North Carolina educator, and I'm very active in the North Carolina Association of Retired School Personnel. And that's part of NCAE, it's a division of NCAE. What your retired friends and retired educators in the state of North Carolina are most upset about right now, well, we're upset about a lot of things, but our paycheck. We have not received a cost of living adjustment since 2017. And they give us little tidbits every once in a while. We'll give you this bonus, but that's a one-time bonus. It's not built into our pay. And so I'm still living with the same paycheck that I was getting in 2017. And you all know that the expenses in this area, in the whole world, have gone up. And we feel sort of cheated by the state of North Carolina because we were promised if we would give our years of education to North Carolina and educate the children, that they would take care of us. And they did until like the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So one of the reasons it's going to be hard to get teachers to go into education is the benefits that were given to our retired employees have been taken away from the teachers who are working right now. So much less the paycheck every month. So that's why I'm here. And other reasons too.
And we'll talk about in a moment how that budget still at an impasse.
Yeah.
And the teacher raises, whatever teacher raises they're gonna give, still at an impasse. So thank you for being here.
I'm Diane Heath, and I am an Alamance County citizen, and I have retired. I retired about a year ago, and decided to dedicate my retirement years to fighting for democracy. And of course, reproductive rights are very important to me, as well as public education. I'm a volunteer with multiple organizations, and I'm here tonight to learn and get information as to what I can pass on to others. So thank you for everyone for being here.
Friends, we're getting to the short rows now.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Caitlin Kaiser. I am an attorney at the Southern Coalition for Social Justice. It's a mouthful, but you can call us SCSJ. The organization I work for works to defend and advance political, social, and economic rights. I've had the honor and opportunity to actually represent Commissioner Mary Beth Murphy when she was first elected against an against an election challenge that we successfully defended. So it's so amazing to see her here and be a part of this. I'm here to listen and to learn from you all. I think my goal as a voting rights attorney is to ensure that we have a participatory, inclusive, and transparent democracy that is accountable. And I think looking at the representatives who are not here and the local representatives are here, it's so essential that we really think about local political power and how we build our communities. And so looking forward to hearing what everyone says tonight.
Hi everybody, I'm Love. I'm here tonight at the behest of my sister. She works for Common Cause, and I was a student at A&T studying history and political science, and now I'm studying at Central for my master's in history, and I now am substitute teaching for Asheboro City Schools, so I'm just now stepping back a little bit into the political realm, trying to get more in touch with it so that I can be more helpful to not only myself, but the rest of the students who I'll have an impact with, and just everyone that I can run into and talk with about it. And so it's been a big help being affiliated with Common Cause the last few years. And I'm hoping that I can offer something as much as they offer to me.
Thank you.
Hey y'all, I'm Bash Cheyenne Smith. I work for Common Cause North Carolina, of course. I have my wonderful shirt on. More specifically, I manage our HBCU program across the state. And I'm here tonight to support Gino and Bob and Tyler, but also I am a constituent here. I live in Woodsett, actually, like 4 minutes away from this place, actually. And so I thought it was appropriate and fitting for me to be here to hear what y'all have to say as I do my work. It helps me too as an organizer be more effective as I'm connecting with students and community as well.
All right, last row here.
Stop. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Pam Stubbs. First of all, I am retired, and I am also a community grassroots organizer. I'm here tonight to gather information, current information, so that I can take back to my communities. I do that regular, so that I can prepare most of our communities for 2024. I'm active in quite a few organizations, but most of them that I am active in, my primary responsibility is to work with the young man up front that throws rocks and to keep him from throwing rocks. That's been my job for several years.
I bet you're tired.
I am. That's it.
Hi, my name is Mitzi Turner, and I wear several hats, but my biggest hat is to try to help the community be informed about a lot of things: how to vote, when to vote, why to vote, not who to vote for all the time. I do it sometimes, but I think it's important that we have these type of meetings, and I want to applaud Common Cause. I am a Common Cause groupie, so I watch the videos, and I'm in Gibsonville. I'm from High Point, so I'm here because of them and Gino and his staff. Great and wonderful people, lots of energy. And I invite you all to research Common Cause and watch the videos from the other cities that they've been to, because what I've learned through this process is that there are people who have different ideas, different situations, things that I've never considered as a problem. It is a problem for different people, so it's great to understand and know what's going on around our state.
Good evening. I'm T. Diane Bellamy Small, and I'm here to represent. I am the District 1 representative for Gifford County Schools. So my district really is part of Greensboro, Jamestown, and a big swath of High Point. And though I do not live in High Point, I do represent High Point. I came, and I'm gonna go ahead and because the school teacher in me always wants to make sure that people get the lesson. So I have handouts that I want you guys to have that are just telling you about Guilford County Schools, because a lot of times you hear the negative piece. Like yesterday, there was a piece on the news about a transportation issue out at Brown Summit. Well, we can only fix what we can fix. And we do care about every child in Guilford County Schools. And part of my job and the county commissioner's job is to make sure that we give the appropriate funding and advocacy to make sure that we have the best public school in North Carolina and in the United States. And we've done it, and we have potential to do that. So my job here tonight is to represent. And I just hope that nobody tries to beat me up tonight like they did a week ago. So
a round of applause to the school board member, as y'all may have heard last week, we were in High Point.
But all I'm saying is I care, and I've spent almost 50 years. Probably Ms. Stubbs has been in politics longer than I have, but I've spent 26 years as an election official, and the last 20 years on the dark side. So, that's 3/4 of my life. And so, obviously, I must care or I'm crazy, one or the other. So, and I need to see you because if I'm running again, I need you, okay? The lady up in the front. Right here. So, thank you. Bye. Thank you very much.
And we'll close with you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lily Almond Harris. I am a resident of High Point. I teach in my community, and I also serve on the Government Relations Committee with Amy here. And my co-worker on the other side of the room, Tessa, we share a lot of passions about just making things better. I am here tonight to learn. My desire, and I just want to link up with the right organization, community, whatever, because my desire is civic education, especially among our youth. We talk about voting, but we got stuff to do after the vote. We need to find out what our people in our community care about, because that's the only way you can get them agitated enough to know if they have been either voting against their own interests, or when they don't vote, they still vote against their own interests, because the vote they don't give, the person that's not going to care anything about them gets that vote from someone else. So anyway, just excited to be here with a group of like-minded individuals. And hopefully, before I leave here tonight, I'll know who I can link up with to do what I've been wanting to do for so long.
That's absolutely right. Let's give another round of applause to everyone. And feel free to come back up to the front here. So the way we're going to spend the... Oh, what was that? Would you introduce yourself real briefly, sir? We were just introducing ourselves in the room.
I'm CJ Brinson. I'm just a concerned citizen.
Thank you for being here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Nick Barnett. I'm with the News and Observer in Raleigh.
There we go. Well, thank you for being here, Mr. Barnett. We appreciate it. So, the way we're going to spend the rest of the time here tonight, and Ms. Turner touched on it a little bit, is that this is the 6th town hall that we've done since July 20th, as we were telling you. Y'all are part of now more than 500 people who have turned out to these town halls. And as Ms. Turner was saying, it's a reminder, one, of all those issues that unite us more than they divide us, but it's also a way that we are learning about what other North Carolinians across the state are concerned about. And so tonight, we're going to spend a few minutes here talking about some of the key issues that are happening at the state legislature, because I know and I heard from many of you that you wanted to learn about what those pressing issues were. And then we're going to leave time at the end, because I know there are people here who want to speak tonight. And even though Representative Hardister and Senator Berger could not be bothered to join you tonight, we want to record and capture what you have to say about the pressing issues that are happening in our state, not only to send to them after this event, but to share with North Carolinians all across the state. Sound good, everybody? Wonderful. So, let's get started. Let me make sure I pull my computer up here. Now, how many of you have heard about something happening at the General Assembly this year?
Yeah, every day.
All right, every day.
Every day.
What are the things you're hearing? Shout them out. What are some of the bills you've heard about?
Voter ID picture.
No budget, voter ID.
Don't say gay.
SB 20, the abortion bill. Don't say gay.
Taxing corporations.
Taxing corporations. Someone who was over here.
SB 50.
SB 50. And can you remind us what SB 50 is?
That's the bill that was going to restrict what we could teach in the public schools.
There you go. Absolutely.
About it, just about everything.
That's right.
Lack of public comment.
Lack of public comment at the General Assembly. What else? Yeah, go ahead.
SB 747 and 749 and House Bill 772.
And we're going to talk about those elections bills in a moment. I think you were saying something?
HB 40.
HB 40 about protests. That's right. Y'all cover most of it. But for those of you who haven't heard about what some of those other bills were, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a couple of them that are most concerning to us. So let's start at the top here with House Bill 40. Raise your hand if you've heard of House Bill 40. Most folks in the room. That was a bill that was one of the first bills passed in the General Assembly this year. It was a priority of Speaker Tim Moore. And that bill increases the penalties and the chances that for those who show up to protests, that they may potentially be charged with a felony for inciting a riot. That was one of the kind of key priorities that was passed at the beginning of the General Assembly this year. It was a bill that had been introduced in previous sessions and had long been a priority of Speaker Tim Moore. So that's one of the issues that has been taking place in the General Assembly this year. Now, somebody mentioned SB 747, 749, and House Bill 772. Raise your hand if you've heard of any of those numbers. All right, a little bit less, but those bills are a trio of bills that we at Common Cause are concerned are going to make it harder to access the ballot box. So Senate Bill 747, that first and foremost is what's called the Omnibus Elections Bill. It provides a number of changes to the process. Most concerning, it reduces the period that your mail-in ballot can be accepted. How many of you have voted by mail before? Or know someone who has? Good number of you. It reduces the period when you send in your mail ballot before Election Day that it actually can be accepted. If a procedure like that had been in place in 2020, upwards of 15,000 ballots would have been discounted in North Carolina. Now, who can remember in 2020 what the race for Chief Justice of the State Supreme Court was decided by? About 600, but it was about 401 votes. So in a state like North Carolina, where one of the most important positions in our state can be decided by 401 votes, we're dealing with a policy that in a presidential election year could discount tens of thousands. In addition, 747 makes it even more difficult for, say, our college students to use same-day registration by increasing the number of documents they'd have to show to register and vote during the same day of early voting. And in addition to that, it introduces policies that, frankly, if anyone here knows what it means, I hope you'll tell me, policies like two-factor authentication to be able to vote. The only time I've ever seen that is on a computer when I'm trying to log into like Facebook. I don't know what that means when it comes to voting, but it then also threatens through these additional security measures, making North Carolina one of the few states, if it passes, to not only require witnesses when you vote by mail, but also to use a policy known as signature verification to basically assess, due to some sort of mechanism that has not been specified, that your signature matches other signatures on file. Is everyone, I can hear some, is everyone following right now what is in some of these bills? And that's like three. That's right. That's right. That's only like three of them. We also have a bill like Senate Bill 749 that, under the guise of no partisan advantage in elections, creates an equal partisan split on our county board of elections and our state board of elections. Now, when have any of you seen the two parties in the state agree on anything substantive? No. Never. Not a chance. So what we are concerned about with Senate Bill 749 and what we think North Carolinians should be concerned about is that in a world in which your county board of elections is gridlocked by party and your state board of elections is gridlocked by party, the way that interacts with current state law means that if an early voting plan for Guilford County is being debated and there's gridlock at the county level, there's gridlock at the state level, the default under state law is one early voting site, generally during business hours, and with one weekend option. Now, could you imagine Guilford County or Mecklenburg County, where Charlotte is, that had 20 plus early voting sites in 2020, going down to one for that entire period? Can you imagine the lines on election day? That's what we're concerned about with 749. And then, of course, there's House Bill 772, a bill that frankly, matches word for word the priorities of a group known as the North Carolina Election Integrity Team. How many of y'all are familiar with this group? Very few. How many of y'all maybe are more familiar with the name Cleta Mitchell? There we go. Cleta Mitchell, of course, infamous for being in the room when former President Trump tried to overturn the results in Georgia in 2020. She is part of the North Carolina Election Integrity Team, and their proposal for what partisan observers get to do in the polling sites is matched pretty much word for word in House Bill 772. And in fact, media reporting in the lead up to those bills being introduced had Cleta Mitchell and members of the NSI team being at the General Assembly and meeting with lawmakers. Now, of course, this man up here, as well as his colleagues, deny any involvement or influence from Insight on these bills, but it's hard to deny facts, right, Mr. Phillips? Hard to deny what is so similar to each other. So those are a raft of bills that might make it harder for us to vote in 2024. That is in addition to what some of you mentioned of a new photo voter ID requirement, reversed and put in place by a state Supreme Court that flipped partisan control last year. How many of you heard about this case when it was at the courts? A good number of you. We haven't even talked about redistricting.
Yeah.
Which we expect to come, of course, in late September and early October. And my friends in High Point will remember this from last week's event. When they go to redraw the maps, especially for Congress in North Carolina, where's the first place that they start to carve up? High Point, Guilford County, the Triad.
Yeah.
So we know that this area's advocacy is going to matter more come this fall. And knowing that representatives in this area have historically been supportive of things like an independent redistricting commission. And we'll be seeing, I think you can guess which one it is of the two, but we'll be seeing this fall whether that is something that they hold on to or hold up their end of the bargain to when we get to redistricting this fall. So we talked about elections. We've talked about House Bill 40. That isn't even the beginning of what we're talking about. I know many of you are affiliated with public education. And how many of you have heard about House Bill 823? That siphons or proposes to siphon up to $200 million each year from public schools to charter schools. That's right. How many of y'all have heard about this bill or heard about this potential? I know this is something that came up last week. I know it's something that Representative Brockman, who was with us last week, felt very passionately about, and others felt equally passionate about, and that shared some misinformation about what the actual difference is between those two things. We know that charter schools don't have to hold to the same regulation and oversight. And there are people in this crowd who can tell you a little bit more about it than I can. But the answer, I guess, through this legislation to public schools that may be struggling in different parts of the state, apparently to these lawmakers, is to take more money away from them and give it to schools that operate without the same oversight and aren't subject to the same requirements. We have House Bill 823. We also have the North Carolina Farm Act. The North Carolina Farm Act passed, I think it was about a month ago, 2 months ago, removes protections from 2.5 million acres of wetlands in the state. Now, that might sound a little dry and boring, but what that basically means, the upshot, according to scientists, is worsened water quality in a state that's already dealing with forever chemicals like PFAS and many of our drinking water sources around the state. And I'm going to touch on one last piece because I really want to hear from you all and not just us, but how many of you are following the drama over the state budget? A good number of people.
It's a joke.
At a moment when we were last week in Fayetteville, and Fayetteville Technical Community College was telling us, and North Carolina A&T last Friday was telling us that their money and their budget is up in the air. Their pay increases, the way that they might be able to hire more people for the school year, is up in the air because they're battling over casinos.
Yeah.
And where to site certain casinos in the state.
Education, yes.
And it may not be until September or October that this budget actually gets finalized. What does that also mean for the millions of North Carolinians who don't have, or the hundreds of thousands, I should say, of North Carolinians who don't have Medicaid or health coverage? It means, according to the latest reporting, that Medicaid expansion may not happen in the state for at least another quarter, not until late into the fall, early winter, into next year. And that's not even talking about the supposed pay raises for teachers that are on the table and how we'll be taking care of our public schools and our public school teachers. In addition to that, and we talked about this a little bit last week in the events, the proposed budget cuts taxes for the richest North Carolinians to the tune of depriving the state $7.6 billion in revenue every year. That's, and many of you wanted the resources from tonight, that's from our friends at the Budget and Tax Center, whose resources you can pick up here. It threatens to deprive us of $7.6 billion annually, and I asked this question last week, so if you already know the answer, please don't answer it. How many of you know what it would cost to end hunger in North Carolina each year? Make sure no one goes hungry. How much would that cost, do you think? Someone guess.
$3 billion.
$3 billion. So, tax cuts, $7.6 billion less in revenue. The latest figures that are calculated by the Budget and Tax Center estimate that it would cost $776 million each year to make sure no North Carolinian goes hungry. Instead, we're dealing with legislature that wants to cut revenue by $7.6 billion and give tax cuts back to the richest North Carolinians. So that is just a small sampling of what's happened in the legislature. And before you leave tonight, I hope you will take a chance to go across these tables here, because everything I'm talking to you about in terms of what is happening at the General Assembly is available for you on this table, resources from various organizations. And I want to make sure this table is empty by the time I leave tonight, okay? I want to pause there for a moment to see if anybody has any questions about what we've been talking about so far. Did I leave you speechless?
It's just so overwhelming.
Just facts.
It's a lot.
Just
It's
facts.
it's
Just
facts.
all
It's
you.
overwhelming.
Just facts.
That's exactly right. So now we're getting to about 7:20, folks, and this is the time where we want to start to hear from you all about what matters to you, maybe the questions that you have, and what you want captured and recorded for your state lawmakers. The way that we orient this portion of the event where we hear from you is we ask you basically two questions. You can speak on whatever you want for 2 minutes as long as it's not partisan. But if it helps, we ask you to, one, focus on what would you like Mr. Hartster and Mr. Berger to know, Senator Berger and Representative Hartster, if they were to be here with you tonight and as they will be peppered by us after we're done with this. And secondly, what do you want the future of North Carolina to look like? You're gonna each get 2 minutes, just like you would at the General Assembly. If they did give us public comment, someone mentioned that. If they did allow for us to have public comment, you get 2 minutes generally to speak. We'll have a sign up here that will ask you to finish when you are at your 2 minutes. And in the meantime, we ask you to be nonpartisan and focus on the issues, because we are really here because no party is going to save us. No party of politicians who are entrenched and believe they don't have to answer to the people, as this demonstrates, is going to save us. And so it's really about the people in this room and the hundreds of people that we've seen all across the state who are going to save us. Is that right?
Brilliant.
I'm sorry, I don't think I can. I'm not man here. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. So I know we got one person who wants to start us off tonight. That's Miss Mary Suzanne. And so we're going to start with you. Please introduce yourself as you come up. We have the microphone here for you. And if you are interested in speaking, start thinking about what you may want to say now, and we'll come to you right afterward. And we really do encourage you to speak tonight if you feel so moved.
I'm gonna really try real hard to stay within that 2 minutes.
You do whatever you need to do, though. Can we get a round of applause?
I don't think I need the microphone because I have a very loud and just a voice that vibrates. So I hope that everyone can hear me. And Common Cause, you're doing a great job. I focused on this question from last week in High Point. What do I want my North Carolina state to look like? And these are a few things that I would like for our legislators to know and take into consideration. A place where we have the ability to have fair and free elections. In 2020, we were nationally recognized for being one of the states with the most safest voting procedures in the country in 2020. I don't know what changed that now we have to add all of these new laws to change the process. North Carolina needs to be a place where all children get the best education that we can offer them and fund them fairly, especially in our public schools. North Carolina needs to be the place where the average working individual makes a fair and equitable wage, not by working 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet, but to also have the ability to have work-life balance. I want my North Carolina legislators to work on policies regarding issues affecting the citizens of this state, like raising the minimum wage from $7.25 to $15 across the board, passing practical gun laws. I want us to have clean air and safe drinking water. I want my granddaughters to have the right to make choices about their health care and to be healthy moms having healthy babies.
by following the advice of their medical professionals rather than being dictated by the legislators. And most of all, I want my North Carolina family to join me at the polls to break the supermajority that we have in place. I want to get those bills that I heard about in Fayetteville from the Fayetteville lawmakers that are sitting on the table, and I want to see them passed in the laws. And remember, your vote is your future. Thank you for listening.
All right, my friends. Who would like to speak next? This is your time, and please do not be shy. I know it's probably hard to follow Mrs. Jane.
Very hard.
I'll say something, but I don't need to come up there.
Okay.
I want.
Or feel free to stand up as well. That's
Okay.
good.
I would like North Carolina to be clean. I wish people took more care about the environment, businesses, etc. And the thing that I would really like is to see everybody be treated fairly. I grew up in a Quaker family, and I really truly believe that conflict can be solved through conversation and not fighting. So I'd like to see people be treated fairly, no matter what they believe. Let people talk it out. I wish it would work that way everywhere.
Thank you. Give a round of applause. This is also a time if you've got questions that you want to ask that you can speak. Oh, did you want to speak next?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to say, I want to see a North Carolina with people who have common sense and at least take a little bit of time to find out about the people that are representing you in office, especially municipal races. I think those are so important, and I think that people don't understand just how important they are. And I also would like for us to start supporting the people that we do put in office. I know because we have common sense, we don't think we're supposed to go to the school board meeting because we have common sense. So we know the people we put in office have common sense and they should be doing their job and they don't need our oversight. But I wish we could start really coming out to school board meetings, not to say anything, unless you're complimenting the school board on the good job that they've been doing, but to be there to support them. Because what we're getting ready to see is a lot of people coming in to cause havoc. And we want to make sure that our school boards know that we have their back and that we're supportive of them. So I wish that we would all get a little bit more involved. I mean, even if it's once every 2 months, just take a trip to the school board meeting, sit in on the county commissioner meeting, city council. And also, we're starting Trouble Nation, guys, with Red, White, and Blue. Trouble Nation, we're gonna be urban areas, rural areas, and of course the suburbs. But for all smaller grassroots organizations, we're gonna do some things like cooperation over competition. So it's not about stealing volunteers or any of that, but we want to be able to offer people groups that fight for all different types of issues. So if you have any smaller grassroots organizations that are getting off of their feet, please let me know so that we can put them in Trouble Nation, okay?
Thank you very much. Yeah, go ahead. And then we'll go through this.
Well, when I look at this question, I was at Livingstone College today, and we were doing a session talking about the same stuff we're talking about here. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to show students the preamble of the Constitution and have them read it out loud. And one of our students, after she went back over the We the People, and she said, you know, when I look at this, I understand that when this country was founded, people like me, you know, weren't technically, but over time, you know, we've been convinced that we should believe in, we're a part of this. We should believe in democracy because we are part of those We the People now. And she said that it makes her sad to know that not a day has gone by since the inception of this country, and even after the slaves are freed, and we're told that, you know, this country is better and it's a better position, but we're still seeing people who look like me, people who look like us, not counted in that We the People. And she talked about how, you know, seeing all these laws constantly come out of our General Assembly in particular, how it makes her afraid, it makes her sad and scared. But she's also hopeful because she said to know that people are doing these town halls is inspiring to her. And
they had no idea. They're finding out about these Unite NC town halls as well. And so she's saying that, like, you know, we need more. We need us to keep fighting and us to keep pushing back, because she wants to see a world, and I want to see a world, and we all do, when we the people truly means everybody who lives and walks on this United States. So that's what I think of. Yeah.
You were next.
I want us to just, keep in mind that all politics is local. And every year that I've been on the school board, the state legislature has been systematically taking away local control. And so when my constituents and teachers and bus drivers, and they come and they're upset with us, then we have to say, well, but the state has decided that they will handle that. It's like we don't decide the salaries for bus drivers, for classified employees, for teachers, but then we have to fight with the county commissioners whenever the state says, okay, we're only gonna give you X. And that's not enough. So then we have to fight with the county commissioners to say, okay, you're gonna have to supplement the X. And then the county commissioners do what they do. But we need to start watching, like there's a Senate Bill 90 that I think has been tabled, but it was going to allow that 5 people could decide whether to hire or fire the superintendent. And the school board would have no say. And I've been saying to people that as I've looked at this, I believe that in 10 years, the school board will only be a ceremonial position, because all of the decisions that are critical to public education, including what you're teaching in the classroom, is being handled at the state level. Then what is the point of your local board? So please pay attention to, and it hasn't happened to the school board. They've tried to take local control from municipalities and have. They've tried to take local control from the county commissioners. Well, then if everything is going to be handled in Raleigh, what's the point? Thank you.
And it touches on an important point. How many of you are concerned about affordable housing where you live? That's right.
That's what I was about to start. This is
It's another prime example of most municipalities in the state are hamstrung by a General Assembly that limits the tools that they can use to create more affordable housing in their cities. I mean, cast your memory back to 2016. What was HB 2 all about?
Yeah.
It was about a General Assembly that didn't like what the city of Charlotte was doing and decided to seize power for itself. And so this idea that part of what Common Cause does, what all of you do, is to stoke civic engagement, to be involved locally. And like you said, how can we be involved locally when the state government in Raleigh is sucking up more power and resources for itself? And at the same time, as we're talking about public schools, is siphoning off resources to more institutions that are unaccountable to the rest of us. So I think that's a great point. Thank you for being here as an elected official when our state lawmakers wouldn't. So I appreciate it. Yeah, you want to speak next? And then we'll go to you next.
So I guess that's a loaded question, but I think what I would focus on is, like, with doing the type of work that our organization does and the organization I was with before, Advanced Carolina, it's really sad to see a lot of voter apathy, especially in like 35 to 18 with communities of color across North Carolina. And part of that is because of what happens in local elections. But then that's the hardest time to get everybody out, right? And so I just want to say right now, for one, I'll touch on the voter ID awareness, because that's one thing that's about to be, the voter ID law just changed. That's about to be in effect before this November election, so starting in September. But also everyone in this room is engaged, right? We can all get 3 to 5 people to either know about what's about to happen with these voter ID laws, right, and the change so that they won't be turned away or won't be able to vote. And also Gibsonville has a municipal election coming up, I'm told. And then Alamance, right, we're on the cusp of Guilford and Alamance here in Gibsonville. Alamance County is the county that allegedly will swing the governor's race and who becomes governor next year. So this is a very important area to focus on, a very important area to stay engaged in. And in terms of the voter ID law, you will be able to vote if you don't have an ID, but they might give you a restricted ballot or like a provisional ballot, right? And so you're able to go get a free ID from the DMV and allegedly the Board of Elections, right? But how many people, our senior citizens, younger folks, or people of color will not have access to that or know that when they show up that day and will be turned away and just won't feel like voting. So please just take 3 to 5 people, let them know what's happening, and get them involved in municipal elections and the state election.
10, y'all know 10 people.
There you go. 10, 15.
Sonia said go higher.
Speak,
Yeah, y'all know 10 people.
to testify next.
So yeah, like she said, it's a loaded question. I mean, for myself, I just moved to Carolina with my daughters in 2015, but like I used to come to Carolina when I was a young kid, and I felt like I used to go to Chapel Hill and I already knew that Carolina was where I would be. It was where I would raise my family when I have children. The problem that I'm having, that I'm seeing now, that I would like to see more of the future of North Carolina, for one, especially when it comes to children and the education, is they worry about test scores so much, but they're not worried about what's going on with the children. Some of these kids don't have places to live because the affordable housing is not effective. People are standing in line this morning in Guilford County at the courthouse being evicted from their homes, not because they can't afford it, but because of the housing prices that are continuing to go up and the money that's not being made because the increases in wages are not happening to match the inflation. So while you're worried about kids' test scores, you're not giving teachers the proper pay, right? And you're not giving the idea of thought to what's happening with the children, like as far as them being hungry, as far as them having a place to lay their head, and you're not getting more counselors involved that look like them, for people who look like us, specifically when it comes to their mental health and how that affects what they have going on. You took the books out of the classroom, but you're not replacing it with laptops for every single children to take home to continue to do the work that needs to happen. On top of, just like, there's so much that needs to be done in the state. And for the local officials, I implore each of you to talk to your municipal electors, because those numbers matter. Because as much as we see things on a larger scale, we have to be careful about what's going on in the local communities. And one thing to tell your officials is to get out into the communities, every single community, your urban, your suburban, your low income communities, and have them build relationships with the people in the community. Because if they don't know who you are, they don't know who to vote for. Right? So we have to make sure that, that we get out and we talk to each other, and community must build community. We are each other's help. We help each other. We keep each other safe. So it's up to us to make sure that we get out and talk to people. We can't expect the people on the other levels and the higher levels, because they quite frankly don't care, because they have the money to pay the people who they want to get in office in the first place.
And that's what we're here doing tonight. We're building community in this room. I mean, how many of you see somebody in this room that you didn't know before tonight or never met? Every single one. And a lot of people, like you just said. That's part of what we're doing tonight and what we're doing all across the state. It's not only talking about the issues that impact us, but building this community, uniting this community all across North Carolina. We have time for a couple more people who want to speak tonight and talk about the issues that they are concerned about. Is there anybody else who feels that to speak? We'll go here first, and then we'll go to you, Ms. Vincent.
Do you want to go
First, and then we'll go.
The issue that I'm concerned about funding for public education, the future of North Carolina, fully funded schools no matter where our students live. When I'm getting ready to start my 24th year serving the public schools in North Carolina. When I was in high school in the mid-90s, there was a case called the Leandra case. And a group of parents were trying to make sure that their kids in the rural parts of the county were getting the same education as the kids in the bigger cities that could afford to raise taxes and give more money to the public schools. That case was decided, and they said, yes, North Carolina has a constitutional obligation to fund our public schools. That was in the mid-90s. It still has not happened. The last time that it went all the way to the Supreme Court in North Carolina, and they said, yes, our legislature has not done a thing. When the state Supreme Court switched, they said, no, we don't have to do this. It's been about a year since that's happened, and our kids need the best education that they can get to compete globally. It should not take 30 years to get that. Thank you. Yes.
So what I want to say is that everyone has a voice. No matter who you are, no matter how much money you have, how much money you don't have, where you live, homeless, whatever, you have a voice. And I think sometimes we forget. I hear people say, well, where have you been? You've been living under a rock? You didn't know this was going on? But we forget when we come from a decent side of town. There are people who don't have the internet. There are people who can't afford the newspaper. I just subscribed to the High Point Enterprise. It was $100 and some a year. Not everybody can do that. So it is up to us, it is up to the churches and civic groups to come together and inform the people about what's going on, because they have a voice. The homeless people have a voice. So I subscribe to, I get 50 emails every minute or so from different groups that I belong to. Common Cause being one of them. Gino, it's Gino again. But I mean, there is, oh Lord, Democracy MC, All on the Line, Indivisible, and 100 other ones. But through one of those emails that I received, I learned about a new House bill. I think it's 722. So what they want to do now is put video recording equipment at the polling places so they can see what people are doing. They want to follow the precinct judge with the ballots to where they're going to take them to the Board of Elections. They want to follow people out to their cars when they have curbside voting. So there's a lot of things that are going on that the regular Joe doesn't know about. But it is up to us to inform our friends, our neighbors, strangers. You know, when you've got, please finish. I will finish. Thank you, Gino, and thanks for doing this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I promise you I'll be brief. I was listening and I agree with most of the statements I've heard and the issues and concerns that they have. But through the years, and I think Reverend Barber put it best in one of his presentations, the people that we have failed to reach and the people who can make a difference in that vote to get their Medicaid expanded, to get the things that we need, to get two budgets in education, one for public schools and one for charter schools, we're not reaching those. And he called them the breach and the broken. You can't go next door and say, okay, come on, let me take you, I gotta take 5. It's not that easy. And sometimes the right thing to do is the hardest thing to do. So at some point, we've got to do collectively a concerted effort to reach the breach and the broken. Yeah.
Thank you. And just 1 second, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, so feel free to deny.
Okay.
But
I was gonna raise my hand.
I was going to say, would love to. We've heard a lot from local officials about the interactions with the states. So would love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, sure. And I'll step to the side so I'm not blocking anyone. A couple of things. I mean, first of all, when I think about the future of North Carolina, the first thing that comes to mind, of course, is fully funded public education. I have 2 young kids. Well, one of them's not so young. I'm kind of holding on to the fact that she's about to be a senior in high school, but I also have a rising 4th grader. My husband is also a public educator. And public education, as I said earlier, is my passion, is my life's work, and is the thing that brought me to public service as an elected. And so fighting for public education is our future. The future that we have and that we dream about is possible through public schools. Buildings full of loving, caring teachers who serve all children, which is not the case at private institutions. It's not the case at charter schools who can decide, oh, you've had 3 strikes, now you're out. The public schools that I work in and that my colleagues in our public school workers union serve in meet the needs of every single child, regardless of what they look like, what neighborhood they come from, how much money their parents make, and what learning differences they might bring into the classroom. And our future depends on fully funding public schools. It is critical. And also an incredible future is possible because of public schools. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, you heard from Caitlin that there was an election challenge in my race. On election night, there was 18 votes difference between myself and the 8-year incumbent that I defeated. we were able to break a gerrymander in this district. There was a district that was drawn. It is possible, y'all. It is possible. There was a district that was drawn to make it easy for him to win and continue winning. And in the campaign, we decided, we heard from someone else, there's 2 ways to run an election campaign, like you're unopposed or like your tail's on fire. I'm confident that my opponent dismissed me and ran like he was unopposed. And we did the opposite. We ran like our tails were on fire. What was possible, and in the end there was a 72 vote margin, is that by engaging our community, by meeting people where they're at, going door to door, building relationships and helping folks to understand that their vote is their voice and their voice has power and they need to use it, it was possible to change the landscape, not only of the Board of County Commissioners by flipping it in 2020, but also to break this gerrymander and to really be able to see a different future for Guilford County because of that. So this work is so important, and so I do what I do in my civics classroom every day, and thank you to everyone who is really engaged and invested and committed to helping our electorate become more engaged and understand the challenges we'll be facing in the next cycle.
You will have the final word before we close out.
All right, what I'd like to see is for those who are in the public arena to remember that they are servants. They're servant leaders and not so much leaders. I think people get really focused on what it is that they think they need to do to be leaders on top. But when you're when you're working with people, the awareness is that you are their servant. You are there for the people. And what I would like to see in North Carolina is on every level, anybody who steps into the public arena to recognize what their true obligation is.
Thank you. Time for one more. You will be the final word, sir.
Thank you. I wasn't going to say nothing, but my good friend, sister and colleague, Pamela Stubbs.
It's going to be a record if you just say
She said something that spoke to me. Something that's really big that is happening in our community is the progressive voice is not reaching the breach and the broken. Is that what you said? And that really resonated with me. So what I'm looking forward to, what I would like to see in North Carolina is our progressive voice in these organizations that we all are affiliated with, and all of you, is that we begin to uplift the issues that galvanize the breach and the broken. Right now we have a lieutenant governor who's only 34,000 votes away from actually being the governor, had he ran. And that's serious. And he's galvanizing folks on racism. And we're unable to, in our community, really touch on the things that are meaningful and that really would get people out to vote. So I like to see a North Carolina that prioritizes things like decriminalizing marijuana, things that make an equitable economic system for black businesses and businesses of color, and also a North Carolina that takes seriously our HBCUs and institutions in terms of equitable funding. I think those are the issues that people are really looking forward to, and those are the issues that will get people off of their seats to actually get out to vote. And too many times, those issues are watered down within our progressive communities in order to be moderate to appeal to the other side. Another side that is actually going in a different direction when we look at how these votes are tallying out. So let's prioritize the issues of the breach.
It's kind of hard to know like what to say after everyone talks about the things that really matter to them. How many of you learned something tonight that you didn't know before you came here? Beautiful. How many of you are going to leave with at least one of each of these resources tonight? Bring them out. And how many of you are going to recommit here tonight, whether it's in your own neck of the woods, it's with your own civic group, it's with one of the organizations you saw tonight, to reach the breach, to be part of this movement to unite our state to focus on issues that we don't often focus on that you have brought up tonight, and to build the new North Carolina that you all were talking about. How many of you are ready to do that? I want to hear you. How many of you are ready to do that? You joined the hundreds of other people who have already came with us. You've joined people in the 16 more places around North Carolina, all the way from Manio to Silva that we're going to be at in the next 2 months. And you all are part of this movement now. You already were in many ways. But for those of you who weren't or didn't feel like you were, this is our time to recommit. This is our time to roll our sleeves up again and be part of it. So I want to thank all of you for being out here tonight. I know that Mr. Phillips and Mr. Day have one thing they want to say to y'all before we close out, but please make sure you grab some of the empanadas. I know I saw you were looking at them as you came in, so make sure you get one. Make sure you get one of the empanadas before you go. Make sure you take the resources before you go. And yes, was there a question you had?
Well, mention something about our ex-offenders, if you will.
What was that?
Our ex-offenders.
Yes.
You know, because when you've done your time, and then you come back and you try to get housing, jobs, even education, it's like you continue to be punished.
You do.
And so, and since we have a disproportionate number of African American men who wind up in the criminal justice system, we need to be aware, because I was excited about the fact that after you serve your time, you could get your right to vote back, and now that's even being
has been taken away again. Yeah, that's right.
And so when do you forgive? Restore the justice. Somebody who did something stupid at 17, and now they're a 37-year-old person with family and all of that. They're not the same person, and we need to help them become whole. Is what Ms. Stubbs was talking about. They're part of the breach and broken.
That's right. That's something we're going to lift on every step, and I appreciate you saying that. That's something many other folks have mentioned, that court case that denied the restoration of the right to vote to 56,000 people in the state. And if you're interested in learning more about that, because you're just hearing about it now, feel free to come find me after this. I'll point you in the right direction. But I will not keep you all here late in Gibsonville. If you already missed the chicks, you already missed the chicks. But I can't help you there. But I know Bob Phillips and Tyler Day are going to close out with one quick piece. And then we'll say goodnight to you, and we'll be on to the next stop. Thanks, y'all. Come on through.
I just wanted to say, I am a resident of the Triad here in Guilford County, and all the issues that we've talked about today.
You're a resident of this district.
Yeah, I am a resident of this district, yes. But all the issues that we've talked about, redistricting is at the heart of it, because it determines the time that our districts were drawn. I went to many of the public hearings that were held, including the one in Forsyth County and in Alamance County. There was no public hearing in Guilford County. I wonder why. But I went to those hearings, and time again, people said, we want the Triad kept together. The Triad is a community of interest. There were tons of comments, public comments that were submitted saying, keep the Triad together. What did the General Assembly do? They put Winston-Salem in a district with Lincolnton. They put High Point in a district with Concord. They split Greensboro 3 ways and put most of Greensboro, downtown Greensboro, was in a district with Jefferson at the Tennessee border. And this part of the county, the eastern part of the county, was in a district with southern Wake County. Does that make any sense? No. So, right. So it does make sense. It does make sense, and it's because when politicians are drawing the districts, they draw the districts to favor themselves.
Right.
And this has been a pattern with the Republicans and the Democrats. And I will point out that the leaders in the General Assembly right now, Senator Phil Berger, Representative Tim Moore, the Speaker of the House, they were supportive of an independent redistricting commission back in 2009 when they were in the minority. So this is not a partisan issue. This is about power. And this is about bringing the power back to the people where it belongs. Because these are our voting districts. They don't belong to the legislators. So we need to bring that power back to the people. And I would like for you to go to peopleoverpoliticiansnc.org. You can sign our petition to end gerrymandering with an independent redistricting commission. made up of an equal amount of Republicans, Democrats, and voters not affiliated with either of the two parties. And they would be, again, citizens, not politicians, drawing these districts.
Great.
I just want to say thank you to everybody. As disheveled as I look, one of the roles or hats I have at Common Cause is I lobbied the North Carolina General Assembly. And because of the budget impasse, they're kind of on pause right now. And it's inspiring to come out here tonight and hear all of you all speak. And I'm happy, Gina, you let me speak a little bit too. But what I want to do and have you all join me in thanking Gino for the great work he's done. The 25-year-old, pretty amazing young man is a Duke grad. I'll, accept that.
No. He's goodwill I just built up.
He's one of the good Dukies. Let me say real quick though. Everything I heard tonight, I was really inspired by, and I know a lot of us said vote, the importance of voting, and that's very true. This past Sunday, 58 years ago, was the anniversary of the signing of the Voting Rights Act, which arguably did change things and improve things. But think about where we are now. 55 years ago, the very first African American to be elected in the North Carolina General Assembly post-Reconstruction came from this county. Anybody know who that is? Senator Henry Fry, right. First one. And today, we are arguably more diverse in the North Carolina General Assembly. But Tyler, come up here. Hold on. Stand 5 feet away from me. Here's my last little prop here, Gina. You're not holding up the sign, are you?
No.
Okay. So we talk about, how far we've come, Voting Rights Act, and Senator Henry Fry, and we are more diverse. There's a bill, and somebody referenced it, that is being considered right now that would allow partisan poll observers, which are currently allowed in our precincts, to stand 5 feet from you as you're casting your ballot. That's what's in this proposal. We're about 5 feet away. Now, what do you think if you don't know me and you're voting, you're Tyler, and you're just seeing someone stand and stare? The proviso is that you're not allowed to see how they are casting their ballot.
Right.
But that's the thing. It's also allowing you to carry this and take video of anything in the precinct except voters voting and poll workers working unless they consent to it. It's crazy. So what I want to do is say one thing. Voting is important, but also help us with our mission, which is holding the folks in power accountable. There's more to participating in democracy than just voting, and all of you all know that, and many of you all do that, but that's the thing to help us. Come join me on Jones Street. Gina, we'll even get you to come, and Tyler, you'll join us as well. And Vashti, I want to also say that she does a great job with the HBCU program we do, and you have an HBCU lobby day. It matters when these folks hear from us. So, Gino, I'll get off my soapbox here, but just I want to say thank you so much. I want to say thanks to this great staff I have the pleasure of working with as well.